impressive growth in its export drive shows that we are not really there, have any good reason to really bow down or kissing the ring of Donald Trump with that mounting pressure.
And now, as you said, yes, also India is working on behalf of its own citizens, and China too over here. But how do these contradictory statements, continuous statements from President Donald Trump's mixed messages about the meeting and everything, including tariffs, and how does it affect international diplomacy and global market stability?
The world is no longer surprised by the roller coaster type of rhetorics from the White House because Donald Trump can really outsmart everybody in the world by playing different cards within himself on his oval table, and now he is really flipping back and forth with his statement as whether there's going to be such a meeting, whether there's going to be a truce over the tariff, whether there's going to be further discussion. And now he's also talking about meeting President Xi and having a big deal that can make everybody happy. So now, I think the best stance that China can really present to the world that, okay, let's go ahead with that and let's respond positively to whatever, the initiative you might really make. But we are also prepared with any type of contingencies that, because China can really stand on itself with its own economic growth and with its own partnership, particularly along the Belt and Road and more largely the global South. So let's go for it. And now, we are we'll be happy to see that certain responsibilities that can be exercised by such sort of meeting. But if that doesn't happen, so be it.
Yes, and as you've mentioned, China can stand on its own. So can India. So how might this uncertainty surrounding Trump and the impacts that Trump's statements and, as you mentioned, the roller coasters have on the geopolitical dynamics between India and China?
Well, I think China and India are great neighbors, and with such a sort of large population, and now facing such a sort of pressure because already 50% of the tariff is already levied on India, and now there's going to be further threat over the other type of secondary tariffs. I think there's a good reason that for these two countries to strengthen their cooperation because they are really the biggest member in the Asian Pacific region and also the Indian Ocean. So therefore, given that they have the largest population around the world and the consumption is coming up, and also India also registers a high level of growth and consumer confidence out there, and more of the Chinese companies are relocating their operations, in terms of the greenfield operation in India, and we are seeing more of the Indian businesses people appear in the Chinese market, be it Chinese the import expo, be it the Chinese service expo, etc. So there's really a very solid ground for these countries to move closer, and also the India will also have to see that a very stable regulatory environment to attract both Chinese investment and Chinese goods are highly welcome. That is going to be beneficial to the Indian economy. And in the meanwhile, we can really talk more institutional construct between these two countries, like to go for certain pact that can stabilize the expectations of the business community. And also China can really open further of the door to import more made in India. And then both sides can really compare notes in terms of the complementarities to synergize our strengths. For example, India is very much advanced in drug making, in software development, etc., and China has its own manufacturer might. So we can really meet together to really to boost our cooperation, and that is also going to be a stabilizing force in the Asian Pacific and Indian region, and then with the coming APEC, so and many other global events, we can really talk about it, and hopefully we can achieve something substantial that can really there to give good news to the business community and the consumers, because after all, they are their own political constituencies of their leadership.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for putting it all out here. Thank you very much, Liu Baocheng, for joining us from CGTN as a commentator. And please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now moving on, China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao has accepted an invitation to travel to Brussels to meet with EU Trade Chief. This comes after EU Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic has said that the European Union is seeking to unpick China's restriction on rare earth mineral exports and defuse a dispute over Dutch-based chipmaker Nexperia. The EU is pushing China to relax export licensing requirements for rare earth elements and magnets, which are crucial for manufacturing high-tech goods. Earlier this month, China broadened the licensing requirements. The EU also aims to avoid fallout over Nexperia after Dutch authorities took control of the company from its Chinese owners last week, citing a threat to national security. EU's trade minister held a 2-hour-long phone call with Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao, during which the Chinese official agreed to talks in Brussels. Let's in fact listen into what the EU's trade minister has said.
You have heard me say before that the scale of China's export controls scaled up since April is unjustified and harmful. And these measures undermine our bilateral relations and run counter to our intentions to stabilize and make our trade more reliable. I appreciate today's constructive discussion, during which we agreed to intensify contacts at all levels. I can tell you that our discussion lasted almost 2 hours. And at the conclusion of this discussion, I invited the Chinese authorities to come to Brussels in the coming days to find urgent solutions. I believe that after also this morning conversation, we have no interest in escalation. However, this situation casts a shadow over our relationship. Therefore, a prompt resolution is essential.
Now we go back to Liu Baocheng. He's a CGTN commentator, joins us live from Beijing. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, looking at this news, what are the broader implications of Nexperia dispute for Chinese investments in European tech companies, and how should Dutch national security concerns be balanced with their open trade principles?
Yeah, I always believe that the only way to sustain national security is the national capacity in its economy and also in the dignity that a country can really earn from the world by exercising responsibility, and also the proactiveness in proposing further engagement. So, simply by the building a silo to hurdle and decouple with the rest of the world is there to weaken their capacity, weaken their competence, and therefore they will be there to invite further attack on their so-called national security. So I think this is really applicable to any other country. Now China has been taken quite a surprise with this particular incident by restricting the Chinese share in a commercial company. And now China's readout is that, the national security is there, that is to sustain such sort of de-risking efforts with China. But in the meanwhile, the interdependence of the two big economies are still there. That's not really being shaken. And if you look at the report by the EU Chamber of Commerce, and China is still a very attractive market, and China offers many strategic advantages that cannot be compared by other type of localities in its manufacturing capability, in its large supply of the workforce that are really disciplined and with reasonable request on salary scale, etc. So, and China is also going on a rapid drive on the green transition, which is very much in resonation with what is being proposed with EU. So we have many reasons that we need to work together and in line to address the already mounting challenges that both sides have been facing over climate change issues, over geopolitical confrontations, and also over what is really the future of a supply chain that can be further consolidated to give confidence to consumers and business societies. But now, with the ongoing concern that the China is going to disrupt the whole thing, etc. So EU is having a tougher stance against China. So therefore, China will have to take some retaliatory measures, and this is really highly defensive. And the fact that Mr. Wang from the MOFCOM is willing to accept a contingent invitation to meet in Europe to talk about this whole thing is there to show that we are willing to work, and we are willing to work together, but on a mutual respect and also reciprocal basis.
And Mr. Liu, as you mentioned and you emphasized on cooperation, the importance of cooperation and the importance of understanding each other, can diplomatic talks between Mr. Wang and EU's trade ministers in upcoming meeting, do you think this can realistically resolve growing tensions over trade, technology, and security, or are there many deeper structural conflicts inevitable?
Well, I'm very positive, but of course, with precaution that we cannot really solve the accumulative issues with one single talk. But I think in terms of supply of rare earths, in terms of the sanctions over the Chinese companies, and more broadly, to touch upon the general aspect that how China and EU can really have the advantage of working together that is there to benefit the both sides can be further elaborated in order to build a better consensus. And China is not there to pose any type of threat, either to global supply chain or to regional stability, etc. So therefore, the rare earth supply is one of the type of tools that is there to speak with the Chinese strengths. But China will be able to have their forbearance in engaging with each other with what is understood as the fairness and the justice. Because the EU and China are working very closely, and we have come over many of those difficult times in terms of the anti-dumping tariff, in terms of the restraints over certain type of exports, in addressing the issues of overcapacity, etc. So I believe that at least we are making positive and engaging steps to address those issues to enhance a better understanding and also to move on a targeted solutions to certain issues of both concern, which can really benefit the both sides.
With that, I would like to thank Liu Baocheng for joining us as a CGTN commentator all the way from Beijing. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing that insight. Now we move on to Japan. Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, has vowed to build a strong country in her first press conference in the capacity of Prime Minister. She has also hailed Japan's ties with traditional allies like South Korea and the U.S., saying that she will make every effort to improve ties with the U.S. and South Korea, and will take the earliest opportunity to meet with her counterparts. Let's listen in.
強い日本経済を作り上げ、外交安全保障で日本の国益を守り抜く、私には明確な決意がございました。間もなくトランプ大統領の来日が予定をされておりますけれども、もしお会いできましたら、日米が直面する問題について、率直な意見交換を通じて、首脳同士の信頼関係をまず深めていきたいなと思っております。
特にトランプ大統領
強い日本経済を作り上げ、外交安全保障で日本の国益を守り抜く、私には明確な決意がございました。
Now for this discussion, we welcome Hidekazu Sakai. He's an associate professor of Kansai Gaidai University, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us. Welcome to NewsX World. Thank you. Now, what challenges and opportunities might Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi face, and what are her strengths in moving Japan towards its alliances with the U.S. and South Korea?
Okay, I think challenges she will face will be finance, because Japan has been formulating policy based upon austerity, meaning a small budget and more revenue from tax. Therefore, Japan's economy has failed to grow for last 3 decades actually. So Prime Minister Takaichi is really concerned about it. Therefore, her challenge will be totally opposite direction that active finance. So that means more budget, and then the less the taxations, and she tried to keep interest rate low as long as possible, so that our salary will be rising. So this is something that the previous administration could not achieve. So this is the first challenge. Second challenge is perhaps ideological confrontation against opposition parties and perhaps Japanese people in general. As you might have noticed that Takaichi has been known as a conservative politician, and she was kind of a protege of the Prime Minister Abe, late Prime Minister Abe. So therefore, internally, she will take the very conservative, some people call the right-wing, the political stance, and especially people who are against the more defense cooperation with the United States, or more defense enhancement. Therefore, Takaichi will face this kind of the people within in the Diet and even general public, and this will cause also friction against China, that might also against South Korea. You say Japan has been maintaining security partnership with the United States and South Korea. This is not wrong, but Japan and South Korea has kind of upside down relationship in the security areas cooperation. Therefore, Takaichi needed to kind of soften South Korea's the attitude toward Japan by saying, like, I love Korean food or Korean cosmetics, something like that. So therefore, this is quite interesting for her to strengthen to partnership with the United States and South Korea in the security area. And there are many areas, like, she's the first female prime minister. So how the Japanese bureaucrats will perceive her as the highest leader of Japan, and so I think she has to also struggle with the Japanese bureaucrats as well.
And Professor, building on that, as you've also mentioned, Takaichi is protege of late Prime Minister Abe, and how do you think, how might she carry on his leadership style and political agenda, and how will that shape Japan?
Late Prime Minister Abe was valuing relationship with not only United States and South Korea, but also with India and Australia. Therefore, these two countries, India and Australia, are the key country for the Takaichi. And also, she will attend the ASEAN meeting very soon. So she will have the a meeting with Southeast Asian leaders as well. As you might know, South Asian countries has very complicated relationship with China, and but they have a long time dispute, territorial sea with China. Therefore, Takaichi might send a strong message to the China that China needs to stay in rule of law, international relations, in particular territorial water in Southeast Asia. And also, Takaichi might strengthen Japan's relationship with European countries like UK or even France or Germany. And these countries have been quite interested in the moving in Asia, because once Asia will be in a critical situation, those European countries will have also huge problems, like for example, semiconductor issue as well. Therefore, I think Takaichi will strengthen partnership with those India and Australia. We call the Quad, Japan and the United States, but also with European countries. So I think this is the conviction that the Japan needs to have more partnerships.
And lastly, as you also mentioned in your first answer, and we also know that Takaichi is seen as more ideological and conservative. Does her conservative stance undermine the symbolism of her success as a female leader? As many females, including myself, we expected her to even maybe select more female ministers, but she only chose one finance female minister. What do you think about that?
I think she wanted to expand more membership in the cabinet, but this time perhaps this is my understanding that she also needed to how do I say she had to create a younger cabinet as well. So unfortunately, we don't have many female members actually, and some of them are quite getting old. So we need young female diet members first. So this is something that a structural problem for Japan in general. And also conservative female leaders is not really rare. For example, Margaret Thatcher for Britain, she was very conservative. What she did was privatization of national corporations, and also she cut a lot of budget so that each British the people can become the more individualistically and competitive and fight in the free market. So Takaichi